Hi, 7th graders. Today we're going to start our Chapter 6 unit, and this is lesson 6.1.1, Comparing Expressions. So make sure you have your book open or your CPM webpage open to lesson 6.1.1, and you have a title written on your notebook paper. Okay, in lesson 6.1.1 it says, how do these compare? Comparing expressions. In Chapter 4, you worked with writing and simplifying expressions. As you wrote expressions, you learned that it was helpful to simplify them by combining like terms and removing zeros. In this lesson, you and your teammates will use a tool for comparing expressions. The tool will allow you to determine whether one expression is greater than the other, or if they are equivalent ways of writing the same thing. That is, if they are equal. Remember that to represent expressions with algebra tiles, you need to be very careful about how positive and negatives are distinguished. To help you understand the diagram in the text, the legend at the right will be placed on every page containing a mat. It shows the shading for a positive one and a negative one. This model also represents a zero pair. So you can see that if it's shaded, it's positive. If it's not shaded and it's just white, it's negative. 6.1, Comparing Expressions. This will be the first one that you take notes on in your notebook. Ignacio and Oliver were playing a game. Each of them grabbed a handful of algebra tiles. They wanted to see whose expression had the greater value. Two expressions can be compared by dividing the expression mat in half to change it into an expression comparison mat. Then these two expressions can be built side by side and compared to see which one is greater. Oliver put his tiles on mat A in the picture above and described it as 5 plus -3. You can see that in mat A over here. Ignacio put his tiles on mat B and said it was -5 plus 2. With your team, find two different methods to simplify the two expressions so you can compare them. Which side of the mat is larger? For this problem, I will be your team. So you should have this resource page to do this. If you don't have one yet, make sure you ask your teacher. Okay, so on mat A, we talked about simplifying expressions, and we made zero pairs in chapter 4. So a zero pair is a positive one and a negative one combined together to make a zero pair. So on mine, I'm going to combine zero pairs on each person's mat. So on mat A, I have groups of zero pairs, and those ones I'm going to remove from the mat. So all of those would be removed and those become zero pairs. Then over here I'm left with -2. And then on mat B, this creates a zero pair. And then I have another zero pair here. And then I'm left with 3 negatives. So I see mat A is equal to 2 and mat B is equal to -3. So then we can decide for our answer to our question that mat A is larger because +2 is greater than -3. So make sure you have those zero pairs drawn on your own resource page. For 6.2, you will also need the resource page to help you with this on the expression comparison mat. So using your expression comparison mat, build the two expressions below using algebra tiles. Find a way to determine which side is greater if possible. Show your work by sketching it on the lesson 6.1.1b resource page. Be ready to share your conclusion and your justification. So on your resource page, you should see this mat drawn for 6.2. So what you have to do is decide which side is greater, and you're going to do that by first making zero pairs. So on mat A, I see that I have a positive x and a negative x, so I know those create zero pairs. Then on mat B, I have a positive x and a negative x. I know those also create zero pairs. Now the next thing we're going to talk about in this lesson is doing balanced sets. So not only can you do zero pairs, and you know that those cancel each other out, so a positive and a negative cancel, and so those are removed from our expression mats. But when you do balanced sets, you do, if there's one of the same objects on mat A and one of the same objects on mat B, those will cancel each other out because a positive x is equal to a negative x squared. Both of those are squared. So then I can cross those out because I know that they are equal, and I'm trying to find which side is greater, so I'm going to try to find the difference between them. So that's the same with these negatives down here. I don't have anything to cancel them with, a positive and a negative, but I can do balanced sets. There's a negative here on mat A and a negative on mat B. Those will cancel. Then a negative on mat A, another one. So you're going to go back and forth canceling ones that are the same on each. So I see that I have 4 negatives on each side that I can cancel to create a balanced set. So now which side is greater? Mat A, I have 1 negative left. And then on mat B, I actually have none left because they all either canceled or I ended up with 0 pairs. So that side would be 0. And when it's asking which one's greater, that means which one has a greater quantity. And after doing the canceling, I see that mat B is actually larger because 0 is greater than -1. So it's not which one's greater that has more tiles left, it's which one has a greater value at the end after using 0 pairs and balanced sets. So now you're going to go through and do 6-3 and 6-4, and you can use your resource pages to do those. After you finish those and can show your teacher, then you'll get the homework 6 through 11. That's due tomorrow. Make sure you ask for help if you need help on doing the 0 pairs or balanced sets. Have fun!